ask the secretary whenever she is ready to take the roll call.
Mr. Barnacle,
Here.
Ms. Bates Fry. Present. Bruno. Here. Mr. Dallas.
Here.
Logan is absent. Ms. Kiplet. Here. Ms. Klein. Here. Josh Maddox.
Here.
Sean Maddox.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Ms. Davis. Here.
Does anybody have any additions or corrections to tonight's meeting agenda? No. Columbus City staff, is there anybody here from Division of Police? The Attorney's Office? City Council? Avery?
Never happened before.
I know. They knew, yes, they knew Dan wasn't gonna be here, so they all decided to skip.
It's gonna be a quick meeting.
Right?
Don't say that out loud.
There is a mic over there if you want to use it. There's just a little toggle on the top that you need to turn it on first.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Or good morning, good evening, everyone. Yes, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Olabisi Eddy. I'm the new West Side Neighborhood Liaison with the City of Columbus. Very glad to be supporting the neighborhoods on the West Side. I just have a couple of announcements that I'd like to read off. So one, just as a general reminder, we're trying to remind all area commissioners to please refrain from discussing commission business outside of meetings. And also the biannual area commission fiscal reports are due on December 31st. If you need assistance with those, please reach out to me and we'll make sure that you get those completed in a timely manner. Finally, Wedgewood is having a resource fair that is set for December 15th, and it'll be at My Project USA from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Please reach out to me if you need additional information. Things are ongoing as we put that together, so please let me know if you'd like more involvement.
You said that date one more time.
Sure, December 15th, it's a Thursday. And then this training, another announcement. We have our final training for the year. This is open to the general public, not just the commissioners, and it's a training on leading civil conversations. That's in partnership with Worth Consulting. The deadline to register is this Thursday, December 8th at midnight. If anyone did not receive the link, at least from the area commission, please let me know, and I'll be sure to resend that out. If anyone attending tonight would like to join, please see me after the meeting, and I'm more than happy to get your information and make sure that is sent to you. Zone in Columbus has partnered with the YWCA to bring in the Undesigned the Red Line exhibit. So it will be hosted at the Glenwood Rec Center from December 12th through the 18th, and there will be a community conversation being hosted on that on the 13th at 6 p.m. So it's going around to the different rec centers, but of course I wanted to make sure we highlighted the one happening on the West Side. And finally, Songs on Sullivan, the third annual event, is going to be taking place on December 16th at 5:30 p.m. And that'll be at the corner of Central and Sullivan, 1400 Sullivan Avenue. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will connect you with Melissa Green, who is still organizing that event.
What's that address that you gave?
Oh.
What's the location? What's that location?
Oh, 1400 Sullivan, it's a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's Central and Sullivan.
And then maybe one other
Yeah,
way.
the corner of Central and Sullivan.
One more time, can you repeat the time of the Wedgewood Resource Fair?
Absolutely. It'll be from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Any questions for me? No, all right, thank you so much.
I skipped. Jumping back up the agenda, do we have minutes from last month?
No, I don't have that. I will send them out as soon as I can.
Announcements. So does anybody have any announcements?
Nick.
I did see. Nick, you're up whenever you're ready.
Top button on the top button.
Make it green. Make it green. Okay.
Like a toggle.
It's giving me like the battery. I will talk about it. Okay. Very briefly, I have no updates at all. Talked with Dan. I knew that there's going to be a few people missing, so we're just going to push. I'm going to do my presentation in the new year, so we'll save that for then. But I did want to let everyone know, I think most of you are probably aware that my supervisor, Dana Dorsey, is now with Pat, and we have hired her replacement, and it is Patrice Allen Brady, who some of you may be familiar with the work that she's done more recently, which is with Nationwide's Healthy Homes program. So she's been running that program over on the south side and then the Linden area for the last couple of years. And so we'll probably give her a doing making sure that it's with everyone. And I am happy to answer any questions that anyone has. And for anyone in the audience that has not known me before, Nick Cloud, I work on the city from this Department of Neighborhoods, BC, and I work on specifically around the
Do we have meetings this month or they're envisioning top by meetings?
No, the last meeting of this year was last Friday. I'll share the video with Dan and have him, I'll send it to James as well, and you all can watch it if you'd like. It's about an hour and a half long, so I'll share that out with you all. There was, I think, did Aaron Prosser come and provide a housing presentation yet to you all? She provides a bit of an overview around the city's housing strategy. So even if you wanted to just kind of jump to her presentation, I think there may be some content of interest. There was some good discussion around and some good questions for her. So from that, from the initial document. So I'll kind of like link where her presentation starts in that email as well. So watch that. Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Thanks. Announcements. Does anybody have does anybody from the commission have any announcements? Does anybody from the community have any announcements? Or, sorry, Josh.
I don't know. Did you have something like that?
Oh, I will let Joe share. Do the cleanup this Saturday, is 9 to noon or 10 to noon? 10 to noon, starting at the Highland West Community Garden. They work their way west to the Highland West Association. Weather shouldn't be too terrible. If you want to come out and do a community cleanup, they would love to have you.
We
There's
provide some
also,
refreshments and the supplies.
yes, there's also a holiday market at Herdway Cafe this Saturday. If you want to shop local for your holiday gifts.
If you were paying attention last night to the city council meeting, there were a couple like liquor items there. One of the items, Safeway Mart or Save Mart, whatever. Miraculously, at the last minute, they made a deal with the city, so their liquor permit was not revoked. Continually happens every year, so it's kind of something to pay attention to with city council. But also, if you notice, they passed. Not getting political, but the common sense gun reform shenanigans. So just as a heads up, one different way to look at that is that law is not currently legal. And now our taxpayer dollars that could have gone to fix Broad Street, which the city did such a great job of doing, any of those kind of things are now going to be spent in court fighting that law. So just something to kind of think through. When city council makes things that seem good, sometimes money can then go from areas like ours, like any other area in Columbus, that's now going to be gone and fought in court. So just something to think through that I noticed last night during council that they very, very briefly mentioned, but that does ultimately affect all of us. So that's all.
I just wanted to add something that Sons on Sullivan. We're planning to do gift wrapping next Wednesday from 3 to 5 at my office in Franklinton. If you're interested in attending, just let me know. You can send me an email at Ashley, ASHLEY @franklinton.org, and I'll send you the check.
What's the time for all that?
3 to 5. And we have wrapping, and if you could bring scissors, that would be great, but we have all the other stuff.
Anybody else? Officer reports. Dan is not here. I do not have anything. Sean, do you have anything for treasurer's report?
There is a treasurer report, but it's pretty basic. Nobody spent any money, and we got the 2,500 last month, so we're set at 2,800. Start the month 2,800, and then the month of 2,800. And I'll work on the mid-year report. Get to 35, 12, 31.
Ms. Winning, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
All right, jumping into committees, we're gonna start up with zoning. So anybody want the mic?
I'll take it. Start. Okay, we have 3 applications this evening for zoning. I'm going to begin with 235 Clarendon Avenue. Is that applicant here?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start by kind of summarizing the variances that have been requested, and then you can present, speak on whatever you would like in regards to the variances you're requesting. And then we'll have questions from the commission, questions from the community. So this request, it is connected to a single family home. What the request is 4 variances. One is to convert a detached garage into a second dwelling. The second is to reduce the 2 required parking spots for the new dwelling to 0. The third is an exemption from the requirement that a dwelling front face a public street, because this would not be facing on the street. And the fourth and final is that they would get a variance to reduce the rear yard requirement of 25%, reduced down to 0%. So the materials, they are on the drive. I think in the zoning committee, we had some questions just regarding the plans for how they're going to convert this garage into living space. And I'll let the applicant speak to that, but generally we were in favor of it. Let me see what the vote was on this one. Mr. Dallas had some concerns about the request that they had previously made for the height limitation on the garage. They had initially requested that they have a variance from the limitation of 15 feet on a garage, but they actually aren't planning on increasing it over 15 feet at this time, so they were willing to withdraw that request. So I think Mr. Dallas said he would be a yes if they withdrew that request. Everyone else was a yes vote, so that's 5 yeses. And I'll let the applicant speak. Do you want the microphone?
I think it's fine. Yeah, I can just speak loud. So the home's not my home, but it's my stepfather's home. So basically what he wanted to do was convert that small garage that he doesn't use for anything. Everything was like paved already prior to him purchasing the home. So he would just park his car inside the paved area. So he was trying to convert like the back of the house into like a small livable oasis for himself, kind of just move in there and kind of just like kind of reduce down from the big house. I did speak to him about like you're saying that he can rent it out to like other people. So if he does, like it would be like his other family who would rent it out or whatever. So that's basically what he wants to do. He wants to be able to put like appliances in there, nothing like too crazy, just something like small, just a small livable space for himself, and that's it.
And I think you said at the zoning committee meeting that the plan is that he would live in that dwelling
Mhm.
and he would rent out the front.
Yeah, it's a family.
main.
Well, that's what I said. So if he would rent it out, it's ideally like a family member for himself, like whether it's like his nieces or nephews.
Are there questions from commissioners? Does anyone want to?
Is he planning on using the existing structure or is there going to be a structure?
He's planning on using the existing structure that's there. If you look at it, it looks really good. And he spoke to the plans examiner, the residential plans examiner, and he said that it looks good too. So we reviewed like the plans with him and he said that it would support everything. So I'm not concerned about
Is it going to be insulated?
it. Yeah.
Were you ever able to figure out the length?
Yeah, I like have it for you, but like because the garage is there for like, so. But I just would to get like I couldn't, my printer stopped working after the third sheet, so I apologize.
That's perfect. Thank you. And
Okay,
then
yes.
Were you, did you withdraw the height variance?
Yes, I took that out of the hardship, but I also couldn't print that out because my printer got stuck in. It's just a crazy days. Apologize for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we vote in favor, I'll just write on the form that it's those four that we. Anyone else have questions?
So you're not changing the roof at all? It's just gonna look just like that? or
No,
is it-
we want to lift it to 15 feet. That's what we were talking about. Like, that's what he doesn't want the variance. We wouldn't get the variance above the 15 feet. It'll just be the 15 feet, which is what like a normal garage is like. They expect it to be like max 15 feet, like you can't exceed that.
Do we have any questions from the community? Any questions on Facebook? Seeing none, I will move for passage of this request, which is CB 22-123.
Second.
Mr. Barnacle.
Yes.
Ms. Bates Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Brudno,
Yes.
Mr. Dallas,
Yes.
Ms. Kipley,
Yes.
Ms. Klein,
Yes.
Josh Maddox,
Yes.
Sean Maddox,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
I'm a yes, and Mr. White,
Yes.
and Ms. Davis.
Yes.
That is 12 yes votes, 0 no votes. So we will get that recommendation form submitted within a couple days. I'll email a copy to you when I send that. And then your next step will be BZA.
Yeah.
Zoning board, yeah, and they'll contact you for when that hearing date is.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Our second application is 944 Binns Boulevard. Second. This is CB 22-119. And this is a single-family home, or was zoned for a single-family home. It's suburban residential. There currently is not any structure on the property. I think there's a shed in the back, right? But there's no house on the property. They are requesting a use variance from single family to two family. And they did present kind of some outlines of what they might build on the lot. However, we really aren't voting on the plans for what they would build. We are just deciding whether we would grant a variance to have a two-family home, so some kind of duplex. If they needed further variances when they have the plans, then they would have to come before us again to consider those variances. So Stephanie, did you want to present?
Well, I have the, what was asked last time. So it's kind of like how the facade is gonna look. So pretty much last time, we were asked to present some type of like a better understanding of what the facade was gonna look. And that's what pretty much what we work on it. So we didn't really, we're trying to, I mean, by going through levels, we're already doing something different around the neighborhood, but we have also seen other multi-family units around that. It might not be around 1 to 2 blocks, but if you go farther south, you see a couple multi-family units. And so our proposal pretty much just to stay around the context of you know, of the surrounding houses. And the reason why my client is willing to do this is because he wants to live with his family. That's something that, you know, our culture do. You know, we try to keep the family together, and that he's trying to take advantage of the law that he has purchased and try to come out with some spaces for, you know, for all the family members.
Yeah, during the zoning committee meeting, we did kind of go through that he does plan to have just his family living there. So it would be, you know, kind of one family unit, but two separate housing units. And that's why they want to build a duplex. And I think really one of our questions was just kind of about the plans, how the garage would be built, So there were some kind of, just some questions generally about what it would look like if it would fit kind of the character of the neighborhood, because if you look at like the Google Street View, there are quite a few just single story homes. And so to have a 2-story home would look different than a lot of the other houses on that block. So that was one of our concerns. But again, this is just a use variance for a duplex. So really, it's going to be up to them what they plan and what they build. And if it's above what's allowed currently, then again, they would have to request those variances at that time. Do we have any questions from commissioners?
Do you have architectural plans at this point or not?
And we have developed, some architectural drawings, floor plans, and some elevations. But we were waiting for this stage to move forward.
And what's the square footage of the unit?
It's around 1,200 for each unit.
Each unit?
Yeah, because it's gonna have 2 levels and it might have a basement as well, but that will depend on the budget.
I actually had one other question, and I could probably look at the materials, but do you know what the footage is in the front?
Yes, it's around 30 feet.
30 feet? in
Yeah,
front?
the actual lot is
Yeah.
60.
That's what I assume, because I think that's what suburban residential has to be, but I just wanted to make sure.
It's right. I mean, we changed that original site plan just because we were talking to the zoning, and they asked us to do some variance in there to meet their code.
As far as this layout, they asked you to change?
Correct, zoning. So that's why it's in the other side now, and they want us to have some type of, they want us to have some type of maneuver, and we change it accordingly to their observation.
Are there any other questions?
You know if that big tree in front is gonna have to get cut down?
Yes, because we moved the layout of the house to the left, and then the driveway is gonna be in that way now. So yeah, it will have to.
It's just a beautiful tree.
It's not before us.
I know.
He said he thinks you're gonna need a side yard variance.
The side, oh, okay.
That's not legal advice, though. Do we have any questions from the community? Any questions on Facebook? With that, I will move for passage.
Second. Mr. Barnacle?
I think you're gonna need more variances, but I don't have a problem with duplex, so I'm voting yes.
States Front? Yes. Ms. Brudenell?
Yes.
Mr. Dallas?
Yes.
Ms. Kiflay? Ms. Klein? Yes. Josh Maddox?
Yes.
Sean Maddox?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Mr. White,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 against. So similarly, I will send the recommendation form within a couple days and I'll copy you on that as well.
Number 12 requested.
I don't think so. Are there? It adds them for me and it said 11, but Kayla's not in the. Oh,
I don't get to be a part of this?
sorry, I'm bad at spreadsheets. I haven't fixed it. That is 12. I'm sorry, because I'm not adding what it says. And I'm not sure if the applicant for Safford is going to be here yet because he was also going to the Franklinton commission meeting. So I think Mr. White, we can move on, but then when he gets here, assuming that he does arrive, we can jump back into his. I didn't think that we would be this far in the meeting at this time.
I should just run them every time. We'll go this way.
Yeah.
You just want to pass the mic around. Up next is going to be community relation.
Yeah, let me say one thing briefly
Oh, yeah, sorry.
about zoning, the next zoning meeting. We are not going to have a meeting this month. We only have one application before us that would normally be considered. It's a food truck special permit for overnight. So I have received that request, new request, which is should be proper now. But I don't think we would get a quorum on the 20th. So we're gonna leave that until January.
Thank you. Josh?
So community relations did not meet in November. Does government legislation plan a meeting in December? Do you have anything on the,
We don't need to.
I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm not gonna be in town on the 27th, so
Yeah.
that's when our next meeting would be. So we'll push our next meeting till January, tentatively the 24th at this time. We'll have a fresh batch of individuals to start that up. Oh, yeah.
Government legislation?
We have effectively combined with the Community Relations Committee for the remainder of the year. We did not meet this past month. We'll get into appointments later in the meeting under unfinished business. So I don't have any updates and we will not be meeting this month.
Mr. Chair, I think the applicant has arrived.
Awesome. We can jump back into zone.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I told you 7:30 and we were way ahead in the meeting. So we did the other two zonings, but you can go now. So
Okay, yeah.
I'll
thank
start.
you. I just finished that as a.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of summarize real quick in 1 second. So this is BZA 22-152, 1547 Safford Avenue. And Mr. Wapner is here from New City Homes. This is a request based on the fact that this parcel used to be 3 lots. It currently has a single residence and a garage. And the needed variances, there are 3 of them. The first is to have a lot width of 39 feet for the western lot. The plan is to split this into 2 lots.
Into 2 lots, yes.
Yeah, so originally it was 3, it was combined down to 1, and now they would like to split it into 2 so that they can build a second single-family home on the lot, on the other lot. So for the western lot, that's the one that these variances are being requested for. The first is for 39 feet width in the front. The requirement is usually 50. The second is for a lot area of 4563 square feet. the requirement is no less than 5,000. And the third request is for side yard setback of 1.7 feet, which is the existing condition for the house that stands on the western lot right now. And I actually don't have what's required right now. What's the requirement? 5 feet?
It's usually 3 feet. It's R4, so it's 3 feet.
Okay, so 1.7 feet instead of 3 feet.
Yeah, that's just to conform the existing.
So, Mr. Wapner, if you want to present whatever you have.
Sure. Is there 5 to go?
You
Or
can stand at the podium if
Okay.
you want, and I can give you this. There's another microphone up there.
it's working?
Flip this switch.
Hello? So as was mentioned, this was originally 3 lots. We're going down to 2. The reason for 2 instead of 3 is because this specific site, if you see down at the bottom of the site plan, it says alley 10 feet and unimproved. The alley was never built here. There is city right of way, but it's just grass and trees. So the south side of Safford does not have access to parking in the rear. So, and then the street itself has parking only on the south side of the street because it's narrow. And there is a fairly decent parking issue on the street currently. Every time I've been there, the street is full of cars. And so we're splitting it into 2 instead of the original 3 so that we can fit a driveway to the side of each house to provide the necessary parking so that these 2 residents wouldn't be adding to the street parking. And then the other variances would all be required of the original lots. The original lots were not 50 feet and neither are really any lots in this neighborhood. It's the same with the lot area. So those are just kind of typical variances of that would have been required of the original lots as well. Are there any questions?
I think you said that the plan is to sell both of the houses. Is that correct?
We're currently renovating the house on the existing house. And then we'll either sell or build on the other lot.
The deck that's included in the picture, is that already exists or are you building it?
The deck. Oh, on the existing house, I believe that's there.
Okay.
You said sell or build on the lot. I believe it's zoning committee, you said you were building on you were gonna renovate the existing house and build on the vacant.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of a different project. This one, we do have a proposed, yes, the site plan does show a proposed house on the.
That will be sold when it's completed, not rented. Or at least as of right now. Once the house is completed, both are being sold.
That is my understanding. The existing one, I'm not sure, but I believe that that's the plan for the. Sorry.
Do you have elevation for the proposed house?
Yeah, it's on. I have it in my packet. Is that on the next slide, Rachel?
I'm not controlling this.
I have nothing else beyond that. There aren't any. It's all PDF.
I do have proposed elevations I could pass out.
Yeah, can I see those, please?
Oh, I think you brought them in paper copy at zoning.
I did.
And I gave them back to you. Everyone, well, there were.
Does
four of
anyone
us
else
that-
need one?
There were 4 of us present when we voted. 3 voted yes, I voted no.
What was your reason for voting no?
I only voted no because I think when there's room for 3 lots, there should be at least 3 lots. Sorry. I don't have any other issues.
There isn't really. Yeah, be a lot more variances if you do. What's the total square footage?
1,060 of the new house.
1,060. You have an estimated price point?
Not at the moment for this, I'm not sure what this house is out for.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from community members? Facebook? No. Okay, with that, I would move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Barnacle,
Yes.
Ms. Bates Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Brudno,
Yes.
Mr. Dallas,
Yes.
Ms. Kipley,
Yes.
Ms. Klein, Josh Maddox,
Yes.
Sean Maddox,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
succumb to peer pressure, and I'll vote yes. And Mr. White
Yes.
and Ms. Davis.
Yes.
Okay, that is 12 yeses. So I will complete the recommendation form. I'll copy you on it when I send it to the city planner. And then they'll contact you about the zoning, the board of zoning meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next committee.
Human service and education, earlier I sent Josh, were you able to pull that for DACA? Human service education did meet last month. We finalized the email list to send out for that letter from last month. And then we also worked on kind of grouping the committees to kind of consolidate some of the meetings, try to get everybody in the same room. Less sporadically throughout the month. So Josh gets it.
Launch shield, it's like being weird.
That's not.
Let's say it's being weird.
Either way, we came up with 5 groups. It sounds like 2 of the committees are already doing one of them. So like group 1, we didn't come up with any fancy names for them. We just tried to consolidate them into a group that made sense to us in the meeting. So the first one would be zoning. It's by itself, just because of the logistics of everything they have to do every month. And then group B would be community relations, government legislation. C is public safety and liquor. D is human service, planning, economic development. And then parks and rec, again, would be by itself, just given the logistics of meeting in the parks every single month and then trying to drag another committee with us to do that. Wouldn't be fair to them. We more or less approved this in the committee, and we're making the motion to send this over to the chair to consider this in February, when whoever the chair is at the time, to kind of take this into consideration, to try to, again, consolidate so that all of us are kind of meeting less often, if that makes sense, but often enough that makes the most sense. So there's that. Please feel free to weigh in. It's not something that's solid. We've got plenty of time. We can talk about it for 10 minutes right now if we want to. Again, this has kind of been like a fever dream of me and Dan, so lots.
We've had similar thoughts in a public safety committee about joining, but we were thinking about joining along the lines that Envision Hilltop has. Like trying to make it align, like the people, the place, and what's the third one? People, place, and home. And would you be open to maybe reconsidering how you pair?
Yes, it's just, we didn't want to overdo it, just because this is something new. And then, like I said, with the zoning and Parks and Rec, because there is so much that goes on in zoning and Parks and Recs, we've already came up with a schedule for next year to be in 6 or 9 of the parks, I believe. But I'm open to adjust this any way that makes sense to the rest of us, or the rest of you guys, because which, again, I just feel like some of these committees need to be in the same room.
I agree.
While their meetings are taking place.
So if we're thinking about public safety, would that fall under, like, would be good public safety planning, economic development?
Right.
Right, so.
I mean, because that's where so many of our problems end up being,
Plan economic development.
or at least the solutions, the proposals to so many of the things we see.
Yeah, and it also falls under human services too, though. Because the
I don't
resources-
disagree.
And I don't know, can you have another group on group D? I mean, I don't know, but why join public safety and liquor permit review?
Just because a lot of times when we're talking about liquor permits, the committee is talking about either approving or denying renewals. Our area gets a set limit number of liquor permits. So when it comes down to issuing new ones, it always comes into question about like, well, what's going on there before? Is this a rollover permit? And a lot of times safety comes into it because that establishment in the past could have had violations. So it made sense to us in the committee at the time to lump them with public safety, because it can become a public safety nuisance if the establishment has some type of violations that would trigger them not to have a renewal, or in an area where their permit, where a new permit shouldn't be issued.
So that what, I mean, I guess, what does the meeting look like then? Because I know if we're talking about, let's just say you go public safety and liquor permit together. Liquor permit review, I mean, is that like a 30-minute meetings normally, or is it normally?
I'd say rough. It depends, just because it's one of those ones like zoning. Your permit, the bulk of your meeting comes down to how many applicants at that time need either reviewed or questioned, or what the committee itself is working on to do throughout the year. It's kind of like zoning. If there's no zoning, there's no meeting, but if there's 10 different permits, then there's 10 different permits that need to be addressed during that meeting. So it could go one way or the other, but throughout the bulk of the year, it's a 45-minute meeting, maybe at max. But I mean, and also too, when it comes down to like the review process, because they do get reviewed in December, it's whatever direction the chair wants to go. And that's why it was lumped with public safety, because it could be one of those ones that it wouldn't eat up so much of the time that would make the meeting of public safety so much longer, while also still hopefully allowing enough time for everything to be addressed from both committees.
I wasn't part of this discussion, but I will say that when there is a liquor permit objection from the city, it's almost always a public safety reason why it's objected. That being said, I do think it might be a good idea just to keep the liquor permit as more or less ad hoc. Commission, hold your meeting when you need it. Otherwise, don't, because it would be terrible to lose a couple public safety committee meetings just to go only over liquor permits.
Yeah, I don't sense I've been handling the liquor permit committee this year. I could just say, I don't think those meetings normally need to be as long as they usually are. Usually we talk about business for 10 minutes and then we talk about other commission stuff that we want to talk about for 20 or 30 minutes. So I think liquor permit practically could be added to almost anything other than parks maybe. I wouldn't add it to zoning because zoning meetings are too long, but it really could be added to anything else.
In your conversations with Dan, I've spoken to Dan separately about this, so I didn't ask him, if he is chair or anyone else is chair, for assignments of committee chairs, would it be you are chair of group C, or are there still going to be kind of sub chairs of each committee and you're deciding, like community relations and government legislation are meeting on the first Monday of every month. This month, we're gonna split time 50-50, or this month, we're gonna, this is only gonna be a community relations meeting. Is that gonna be still up to individual chairs? Or are we gonna have like a chair for each subgroup?
So it would still be structured the same way it is now, where every committee does have a chair. It would just, for meeting purposes, to structure it more coherently, to allow for people who do want to attend both of these different committees at the same time. It's just the meeting times and locations would be at the same place. And then the meeting structures itself is determined by the two chairs. You work out, okay, well, public safety is going to go first. Liquor permit doesn't have anything at that time, so they don't have anything at all. So it becomes a public safety meeting, but liquor permit can be brought up at public safety because the chairs should be there.
I guess my only recommendation, and this would be a recommendation to the commission chair next year, is to just, if you sit on the Human Services Committee, you also sit on the Planning and Economic Development Committee. So like the same group of people is going to both meetings, even if only one meeting has business that month.
And I think right now, I think Dan tried to give everybody at least like 2 or 3 committees to be on. I think this would more or less consolidate it down to, for sure, everybody is on 2 because you attend yours and another one.
So you'd be like essentially assigned to a group. Okay, that I'm in favor.
So then you're not hopping to group D and group C because you're on.
Yeah, or you're not showing up to only attend human services and you're leaving halfway through an important meeting.
Yep.
I don't want to see that happening.
But hopefully this is also like meetingly structured in a way that they're not all happening on the same week, and preferably like anybody who's in D, C, or B can still attend the other ones. Then they would be essentially going to their 2 meetings and then going to another 2 meetings, plus either park or zoning if they go to those either separately. So you'd have more opportunity to attend more meetings if more of the meetings were consolidated.
Great.
Please, yeah, Commissioner.
I think ultimately, for me, the highest level is the collaboration and the collectiveness. That's it. I mean, because a lot of the conversations I've attended, and so has many of my colleagues here, have attended a lot of the meetings, and really it's the same conversations very, very often, but from a different lens. And so if we are all in the same room, regardless if you serve on both committees or not, then you can have those conversations and have that information right there. We'll be more informed about our community. So however it's structured, it doesn't, however it's structured.
Has the commission considered, as Mr. Barnacle said, move public safety into group D, leaving liquor permit in its own, like you said, ad hoc, because there's not always business, but then you have the members of safety, human services, education, planning, economic development to come together for 90 minutes in a committee meeting each month and have 30 minutes per topic. And then you have a lot of overlap, and as a community resident, as a community member, but also as a commissioner-elect, I could then go to 3 meetings with the city council, potentially in addition to, or 3 committees in addition to zoning and park and rec, which I would think would speak about that. There's a wider reach there. And then that allows for the pillars, all except for park and rec, since that's on its own. But then you're covering people placing at home pretty holistically, with public safety.
I don't disagree with that. It's just the biggest concern is like the time frame, the way it's structured now, like each of those middle groups, they potentially have the opportunity to spend 45 minutes like per committee, whereas like if D did have 3 different committees in it and you limit each committee to 30 minutes, then it becomes well, I only had 30 minutes to talk about. I know it's like just 15 minutes there at the end, but that 15 minutes could make a difference if somebody getting really mad at the parking lot. So
There's also nothing stopping committee chairs from, like, if there's 1 month where there is a ton of business, for having a second meeting, or from splitting off and having like an ad hoc subcommittee meeting to tackle one project. Like, there's nothing stopping chairs from doing that.
again, I think it's just bringing this. I'm over human service education now.
And do you,
That could be easily a 30-minute meeting, but I don't know about public safety. And I know planning and economic development could easily go for an hour and a half at any given meeting, depending on like what the main chunk of the topic is.
Yeah, safety's running about an hour.
At least an hour every time we meet. We meet twice a month.
We meet once a month.
No, we've had twice a month for at least the last 3 months. We met twice, 2 times.
We did? I wasn't.
You were.
No.
All right, I thought.
But the meetings have been long. Overall, the meetings have been at least an hour, sometimes an hour and a half right now.
I definitely don't doubt that, but like echoing Victoria, I'm sure that a lot of what you're talking about is
Other-
also happening.
Oh, yeah. Without
in
question.
those
Without
committee
question.
meetings, and I just don't know if we will even know that until we kind of come together and sit in on each other's meetings.
And things can change, right? I mean, like, it's not in stone, like you said, we have options to switch up as we see fit, because we don't know until we all, meet together.
Did you guys meet government legislation and community relations? Did you guys have a joint meeting last month or the month
We have
before?
been combined since September, since we started planning the election. So actually August, we've been combined since August.
Has that been going well?
We have 2 combined meetings and we have not met since October, since we didn't have an election. That was kind of our main business for the rest of the year. I definitely think we could have been combined for the entire year and not have lost anything. It just didn't occur to us since we weren't having this conversation yet.
So it's just C and D that got the hiccups on. So the rest of them are good. It seems like that sounds like to me.
More conversation.
Yes,
Yep,
definitely.
I think so, because I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the public safety, like our recommendations based on what are some things that we think we should implement, really aligns up with human services and education, right? And we can probably partner with that group to like implement some of this stuff. So, and we just started our first year, so it's hard when you're starting, you're doing a lot of planning, discussion, brainstorming, so it takes some time. We just haven't been able to put a process in place that can, speed things up for us. So, but yeah.
I would also note that some of the public safety concerns do come from youth who are of school age. And so there is a lot of overlap with education.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to echo what Commissioner Bates Bryan had said about like, collaboration, because I think like the idea of like kind of mashing it within Vision Hilltop pillars would be nice, because I know like personally as the chair of the home subcommittee, like I've gone to planning and economic development meetings, but then we're also talking with public safety about a new resident packet, and so like if I don't have to be at 3 meetings or 4 meetings where I'm also going to Vision Hilltop meetings, like we can just, if we can collaborate better That's something I would like to see. Hopefully that's okay that I'm saying that, Nick and Kevin.
No,
But I don't want to have the same conversation of like have my subcommittee talk about it and then have your committee talk about it and then have to keep bouncing back and forth because we won't get anything done. I wanna get things done.
Thanks for talking this to everybody. If you have any more suggestions or comments, feel free to let me know. This is all recorded. Hopefully Dan will watch it later to get some good feedback on like how you would hopefully we still the chair next year. Feel free to let me know how you would like this to go. This is all recorded. Moving right along, liquor permit review.
We did not have anything this month. I'm not planning, I'm gonna look at the request, but I'm not planning on having a meeting this month. I was gonna say Mr. Maddox, but Josh Maddox discussed that the objections from the city were voted on last night. I'll review those. I did see some of those that we had given input on were objected to by the city, so that's good. But going forward, I think our next meeting will probably be in January. If there's anything particularly urgent, I'll send it around, but Zach has not contacted me about any that are pending.
Mr. Dallas or Ms. Klein for planning and economic development.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's right, I'll let-
last, is this? So
This past month, we went over a second time the GHAC Land Bank Property Development Form. This form is specifically for any properties that the land bank is planning on selling in the Hilltop neighborhood. They are asking that buyers attend and get approval from the various area commissions throughout the city for the property that they're purchasing in said neighborhood. Do you want to wait until unfinished business to go over this, or?
Yeah, we can go over it now.
Okay. So in the second round, we added and edited a few things, made questions a little bit more specific. We are asking that purchasers of land bank properties fill out this form and send it back to the chairs of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, specifically with their name, their address, their contact info, and then the property addresses that they plan on purchasing. Going through it, we're asking for architectural design documents. This includes blueprints, elevation, zoning. Light studies can be used as well. And then also we asked if them to provide any similar project addresses and documents that they've worked on. And then have they had any property or any code violations, as well as providing a written example or explanation of how this property will meet the envisioned hilltop plan, specifically the home pillar, with a link to the envisioned hilltop plan for them. And then how does this project support housing affordability, availability in the greater Hilltop neighborhood? And then check all that would apply of what this project would be. And then we get into kind of like, what are they going to be using this property for? Are they going to be rent, sell, or occupying this property? If you plan on selling this property, what do you anticipate the expected sale price to be? If you're planning on renting this property, what do you expect the expected rental price to be? And then if you are also planning on renting this property, please provide any other rental property addresses that you owned. And then finally, will this property be tax abated? In addition, we are asking that the purchaser sends postcards to the 10 closest properties, as well as the chairs of the development committee, to ensure that they are notifying neighbors of the meeting in a timely fashion. So if there are any recommendations, edits from the community or commissioners.
Just a quick question. Have we run this by like the city to make sure commissions are allowed to do that, to ask for more information? I don't know what the rules are. I know they're sending them to us, but normally they tell us what the form is, what we're asking for. Can we ask them for more information on that?
I would say you can ask for more information. That doesn't mean they have to give it to you.
So they're required to go through us now?
Correct.
And
That's always been the case.
really? And what happens after that? If we deny them, if we say, you did not give us any information, you did not follow our procedures, we are voting no, is this just like any other vote? It's just like advisory to the city?
Yeah, so our understanding of it is.
I love this. I think we should.
We took a lot of what zoning does currently. And so we have a form that we have to fill out at the end, which looks identical to, I forget what zoning form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the standardized recommendation form. So we just, this predominantly, and we got some recommendations from the community members too about doing like a point system. This is just to get all the information on the upfront for us. That way we have documentation of it and we can go into the meeting having a formula or a better understanding of what the plan for the property is. And then the process afterwards will be, we will have a vote to move it to the full commission meeting, and then similar to zoning variances, will have the developer or purchaser come to a full commission meeting and we will vote on it, whether to recommend or not recommend as a full commission.
So we're recommending or not recommending allowing the individual or the group to purchase the land, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is there any things they need to meet? If we say yes and they get the land, is there anything else that the commission can speak on? It's theirs, right? They can do what they want. I mean, other than like, all those things. Is that correct?
Correct.
So our purpose would only be to recommend to the city, yes, we agree. We recommend that they can purchase this land. Correct? Okay, I just want to make sure.
And they can, I'm assuming, they can tell us what they want in this form and change their mind. Right? If they say they're buying it to build a house, but we can't hold them to build that house, right?
Right.
Well, they're purchasing it from the land bank, so the land bank may have their own conditions on what they allow. There's one of the earlier applicants that we got did originally try, he filled out the application for it to have a single family residence. And then he decided that he wanted to do a duplex, but the land bank wouldn't let him because he started the application as a duplex. So if he, sorry, as a single family. So if he wanted to do a duplex, he'd have to start from the beginning. So he decided he was just going with the single family.
That's all correct. The land bank has lots of rules. One of them is that if you're gonna purchase land from the city, you have to present to the area commission, and they take your recommendation very seriously. I think you have a little bit more power here. Because if you guys don't recommend, the land bank generally says go back and forth with them until we do. If they say they're gonna build a single family home, they shouldn't bring you, I agree with you all, on, they don't have to bring you architectural renderings because that's really expensive without your recommendation, but they should bring you some sort of elevation. If they change their complete plan, the land banks can make them come back here.
And they would probably have elevations already to get to that stage with the land bank. The land bank is pretty stringent about the rules. So the nice thing about this is just getting information that for the most part, they would already have. And so this would allow us to have more expedient meetings too, because most of the questions that we want to ask of anyone, they'd be able to fill out this form and then the committee would just have the information right there.
You can't buy land from the city without a plan. You can't just say, I want to buy this and sit on it. They have a year to build something on it. And they're going to want to know send you to UMass.
Are we gonna have a proposed postcard? Or like tell them what should be on the postcard, or is it simply gonna say, I plan to buy this land bank property, here's the meeting, please come to it?
We have not created a proposed postcard, but everything that we are specifying that they need to be included is included in the text.
Simon, were you able to get clarification on if this is for every land bank property or only? Okay.
What did you answer?
No,
What
whether
was the
this is,
question?
the question was, is this for all land bank properties or is this just for?
You mean like corporate versus individual?
Exactly,
Okay.
The only ones that we have seen are developers so far. So that is where the clarification.
I think this is a great kind of first show of like good faith, if you're willing to interact with us in the neighborhood. At a bare minimum.
Yeah, yeah. And this is just information gathering. This is not.
Should be a pretty easy question to answer. Does the committee or the commission have the ability to change questions or add or edit questions as this gets implemented?
Yeah, there's nothing that is like, this is set in stone. It's just, this is our first run at it.
And I'm sure we're gonna learn more as we continue down this process, so we want to be able to change, or adjust, or add, or take away, so, yeah.
Do we need to formally vote to approve to allow you to use this, or were we just reviewing this to review it?
I think technically.
I don't think you have to.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
This is what we're using.
Looks great.
And then Victoria, we are not.
2 hours together. Oh,
having
Oh.
correct.
No December meeting.
So no December meeting for the Planning and Economic Development Committee.
I do have a point of order though, is that if you want to bind the future chairs to this, we should vote on it. Yeah.
You guys want to discuss that at the next meeting and then?
Yeah, well, we can
We
discuss that.
can discuss it in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, public safety.
Yeah.
Or do you guys want the mic?
You got it, or?
Malik has the voice.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
The mic on.
All right, so we have some of the survey results right here. What we're looking at, is this the, do we know if this is the organizational one?
This is.
This is the residents, the individuals? And so our sample size on this one is about 133 folks. And there's a whole bunch of answers here as well that we don't have to belabor anybody with. What I took away from this one was that the large number of people who answered our survey live and work in Hilltop. It's like less than, what was it, about 8% that are only working in the Hilltop. So we have a, what's that? 6%, thank you. Oh, there it is. Yep, 6% of the people are folks that only work here that answered this. The concerns we heard are nothing new. The alleys, violence, drugs, and then that whole collection of all of those 1%, that death of 1,000 cuts that we suffered. And so when we looked at this, it really led us into that conversation of aligning with something. So many of the challenges we see are Commissioner White's same challenges with education and human services. And so I love that that was a topic that was brought up. That's what this shows us. And so what you're looking at is answers to the question about if there's a group or individuals in the area involved in activities that bring our community together, our neighbors together in our neighborhood. And there's a whole list of specific answers we're not seeing here. The next question, have you or anyone else in your household been a victim of crime in the last 12 months? That's just shocking. 72% have, and a large number haven't reported it to the, I'm sorry, 72 is a no. Yep, my apologies.
Just turn it off.
Turn it off? All right, good.
You're loud enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry about that. Yeah, and then those, I mean, it just seems like we've normalized and folks are going through this process of just getting exhausted at normalizing crime. Are you familiar with services? Almost everybody's familiar with the services that exist. There's 10% of the people who aren't. And then the additional feedback. It's the stuff we've heard. Like some people want the big dumpster, some don't. 311 keeps coming up in here a lot. Police, wanting the police to do more, wanting trash gone. I mean, it's all the things that we've seen and known. And again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate the fact that if we do align our committees, I think we can begin to move some of this work forward in a way more meaningful way than we have in the past.
But I think what this also gives us, honestly, is with some of the feedback, like, do you have any additional feedback comments? A lot of really good that we read through, so we'll try and share it with the rest of the group as well. But some of the recommendations that were provided are things I think that we could start doing slowly as a group, as subcommittees. And I don't know, they're just very good feedback, I'd say. We'll keep the survey open. And then maybe just check the numbers every month or so, just to run through the survey and get the results of what people's comments are.
Any questions?
Was one of the questions, what neighborhood you consider or any sort of like address?
Intersection.
Zip code.
Yeah, we asked for intersection.
Closest intersection.
Yeah. We do have those as well. We copied and pasted here, so.
Yeah. Just being reminded of slow streets. Remember slow streets.
Is that still a thing?
What was it? It came and went, it got merged with 8 other projects, it died, it came back to life. It's been, yeah.
There was a study of one-way, two-way, and
Yeah.
speeds.
And the belief that two-way was slower and it made it safer.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
No meeting in December, but we're considering having a holiday. And place to be determined, I guess. We'll check a few places to send you guys an email. Whoever wants to go.
All right. Recreation and Parks, Josh could be here. I do have the notes. We did complete our litter cleanup for last year. We tentatively got a schedule made for next year, which we're going to focus on Stephen, Hans, Wrexham, Roves, Big Run, Georgian, Westmore, Glenview, and Holton. While we're also still going to be continuing to focus on our parks from last year to get more funding. We did talk about the other parks that have gotten some improvements done to them. We're a little reluctant to go to them to do a litter cleanup just because we want to let the new equipment sit and age and then go back the following year to kind of get a better understanding of how it's held up over its installation over 2 years, which was, I believe, Hiltonia and Burroughs. They both got new playground equipment. We've got Glenwood lower level, which should be coming online, I think, at the end of next year, which will be a new nature trail, I believe a bench or two. So be on the lookout for that. And like I said, we do have a tentative schedule for next year. We will be in the parks doing litter pickups, doing site reviews, trying to get community feedback on what it is the neighbors want to see in a park, what needs improved, what needs removed, and things along that line. So if you're interested, please reach out to either me or Josh. Look forward to it. We will not be having a meeting in December due to the holidays. Please stay safe and warm out there. Temperatures tend to drop. The rec centers will be open, and be on the lookout for warming dates for when temperatures do fall below freezing.
Quick question, James. Do you know what the turnout is for like the litter pickup Joe's doing compared to the litter pickups that we do in parks? Are there more people showing up for the park ones?
We have anywhere from like 10 to 30.
Lots for you typically. Yeah. I would have thought it would be the other way around.
We do some recruiting from some area agencies, like in the Fox Refuge, we'll send six or 12. So it fluctuates. We do 4 a year, it fluctuates, but there's a decent turnout.
I've been in a couple of yours, at least one, but I've not done a rec center, and I thought that they would have more people.
Well, last year was our first year, mainly because we didn't have like a good like marketing strategy, but I think since we're not going to be starting until March, I think the focus of the committee's work in January and February is going to be actually getting the word out. And now that we did come up with a calendar of March is going to be Stevens, and then so on and so forth down the list. So we're going to hope that like that, putting that out there at the beginning of the year will hopefully get a lot more people on their radar and like involved. Just because last year we were trying to stay in the parks to see what was going on. Well, somewhat doing a little too much, but it was very helpful for me to be in the parks because like I was going to every single one. I was making sure to get photos of everything, update park or Google listings with like up-to-date photos. And I mean, picking up the trash, I picked up a bag of 20+ gallon bag of trash at every park I went to. So it's not like I wasn't doing anything at all. So the stuff was getting done. The turnout definitely could have been a lot better. And I think that's what we're going to focus on next year, while still staying true to just making sure that equipment gets updated or is replaced and things along that line. And then going back to the department and city council and staying on top of them of like, we need funds in these parks because we have 20 of them. We have more parks per resident than any other neighborhood. That's because we also have 70,000 residents. So. Hope it helps. Somebody else have any questions? All right, moving on to unfinished business. We covered the letter. The next step is going to be nominations for the appointed seat for next year. This is going to be for 2023 through 2025. Does anybody have any nominations?
And do they have to be physically present, or could it be social media?
I'll make a quick announcement. So ideally, we would make nominations tonight. I don't believe we have anybody here to make formal nominations. I've spoken with a few people. We haven't nailed it down yet. What we are committed to is January meeting. Anyone who is nominated has to be here physically to be nominated, to be voted on. That's when officially all of this is nailed down. If anyone has nominations they would like to make tonight, those can definitely be voiced. I would ask that if you speak with people and you have someone you'd like to nominate in the next, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to get a written bio to send to all of the commissioners so that we have that and we can get formed for a January vote.
I have a formal nomination for tonight.
Do you have one?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to wait though until January, or?
You can make a formal one.
Okay. My formal nomination for tonight is for Mr. James White, who probably doesn't need us to give a real bio for him, but my experience with James over the past 3 years has been overwhelmingly positive, in addition to him being my neighbor 1 street over. I just have seen him very committed to the neighborhood, to the work. And he has a very creative mind, which I love. Kind of, to use a cliche, but thinking outside the box and really, I think actually going to parks and walking through them is common sense, but for some reason people weren't doing that before. So I just think he's done a great job on the commission for 3 years, and would likely do an excellent job for another 3 years. And I could let him address, his interest in it, but that's my formal nomination for James.
Do you have any other formal nominations tonight? And we'll,
Are
Give a question.
self-nominations permitted?
if you're a sitting commissioner, technically nominations have to be made by commissioners. That's the rule. So I'd say if you are an expiring commissioner and you wanted to nominate yourself, that would technically work.
Wait, so you said it, if you're a commissioner elect and you wanted to nominate yourself for something?
For an appointed seat?
No, I'm thinking committees.
Oh, yeah, that's separate. That's a separate process.
Yeah, that's done by the chair.
For anyone who's new, this is specifically for, so every year we have 5 open seats, 4 are elected. This year we did not have an election because we had 4 people submit petitions. We have 4 open seats. They kind of automatically get on. The 5th seat is open for an appointment. So the 4 elected seats have to reside within the Greater Hilltop boundaries. The 5th seat that is appointed has the option to live, work, or own property within the Greater Hilltop boundaries. So that is what we are discussing tonight, is appointing that 5th seat if anyone is new or unfamiliar with that process. That official vote takes place at the January meeting. It is voted on exclusively by city commissioners, nominated folks. If you are interested in seeking a nomination, you have to be nominated by a sitting commissioner.
Do you, if you work in the Hilltop, but you don't live in the city of Columbus, could you still be the?
That still
Yes.
qualifies you for a nomination. Yes. Yeah, we've had past members in other parts of town. Live, work, or own property. That is the qualifications for the 5th appointed seat.
You don't have to live in Columbus.
Correct. Yeah, there's nothing requiring you to live in the city boundaries.
Kevin, you trying to be appointed?
No,
That's what I
I
was
feel,
thinking.
I feel
I was
like
just gonna say,
you
I
should live in
nominate
Columbus if you're
Kevin
gonna be on
to
this
serve
commission. I
on
feel like you should be in Columbus. I'm not in, no.
No,
feel
I
like-
will also say, I don't want to, diverge too much, but I will again encourage committee chairs, whoever those happen to be next year. Our bylaws were changed last year to officially allow community members, not commissioners, to sit on committees and be voting members. So committee chairs have full power to appoint community members to sit on your committee in a full serving capacity. They would obviously not vote at full commission meetings, but they would have full voting powers within the committee setting. So that is an option as well. For
They
committee
can right
chairs.
now?
No, they can right now. So this whole past year, community members have been able to sit on committees. So for community members as well, if you are interested in kind of dipping your toe in the commission and you don't want to sit on the body, in the full body, and you want to sit on committees, that is an option. That is not a formal process. You would just approach the committee chair and say, I want to sit on this committee in a, some kind of capacity, and you would work it out, committee by committee. We've had 1 formal nomination. I would ask James if you plan on accepting that nomination, so make sure the commission gets a full bio for you so we can share it. And voting would happen in January. So there's still time if anyone's interested in being nominated. If commissioners have folks you were thinking of nominating, please get those bios submitted and make sure that the candidates know they have to be here in person at the January meeting. Any questions?
I was serious, Kevin.
I
Are you saying
was
you're not
too.
interested?
No, I don't,
Okay.
I can't.
All right.
And I personally think that somebody like Kevin Orr is exactly what the appointed slot is for.
Yeah.
Is for somebody who works in the community and is part of an interested group that does work in the Hilltop, that getting closer collaboration with the Greater Hilltop Area Commission would be mutually beneficial. That's why the appointed seat has the live, work, or own property, and all the other seats, 12 of the 15 are for residents.
moving right along. Does anybody else have any announcements that they want to speak up about?
A step in the right direction is having a Create Brighter Tomorrow on next Tuesday at Third Way Cafe from 5 to 7. So this gives anybody the opportunity to come hear about what we've been doing for the past 3 years, because we hit our 3-year mark in April of next year. And we have some great plans for 2023. So if you guys are interested, stop by, we'll have light snacks. You get to meet me, because I run it, and a couple of our other volunteers, and kind of get just the insight of what the plan is. And then, of course, if you're an organization, how we can partner with you guys to help build back up the community from our aspect. So feel free to stop by. It's open to the public.
Can you repeat the date and time?
Yeah, next Tuesday from 5 to 7 at Third Way Cafe. And Third Way Cafe has blessed us with us being able to use their space.
Anybody else? From the community? Do not have any new business, so I'm gonna officially end this meeting, but before I do, the January meeting is gonna be January 3rd, 6:30 PM here in the library. Hope to see you guys there. Everybody have a wonderful holiday, stay safe and warm. And don't forget to donate to your local food pantry.
I will not be there.
You just like to do that with a
Oh,
smile,
wait,
don't you?
before we leave, we do have a couple of outgoing commissioners who will not be returning next year. Patrick Barnacle is one, potentially James White, as of right now, and Sean Maddox. They've served us well over the last 3 years, and I wish them well in their next endeavors, and I thank you.
Did we not?
Motion to adjourn.